Surgeons and elite athletes in Tokyo, Olympic athletes and fighter pilots use the exact same mental technique that samurai mastered 400 years ago. It's not ordinary meditation, it's not willpower, it's a neurological method that allows you to make perfect decisions in fractions of a second, without hesitation, without fear, without error. And the most incredible thing, anyone can learn it. Get ready, because in the next few minutes, you're going to discover the secret that separates masters from amateurs in any area of life. In the year 1645, Miyamoto Musashi faced 66 opponents in a single battle and defeated them all without serious injury. But here's what nobody tells you. Musashi didn't win through sheer strength or a superior sword. He mastered a technique called Mushin, which literally means empty mind. And this technique remains the difference between people who perform under pressure and people who freeze in critical moments. When your brain is in a state of Mushin, you act before you think. Your body responds perfectly while your conscious mind is in total silence. On the samurai battlefield, a second of hesitation meant instant death. There was no time to doubt, calculate, or feel fear. Action needed to be automatic and perfect. Samurai developed Mushin through what we now call neural automatization. They practiced the same movements 10,000 times until the brain created neural pathways so strong that the action became unconscious. It wasn't mechanical repetition, but conscious repetition. Each movement was executed with total attention to the smallest details. Modern neurologists have discovered that when you repeat a specific action between 10 and 15,000 times with total focus, your cerebellum and basal ganglia take over. You no longer need to think to execute. This is exactly what happens when a basketball player makes a decisive shot without thinking about the angle of their arm or the force of the throw. Their brain programmed that movement through thousands of hours of training and now executes it on autopilot while the conscious mind remains empty. But Mushin was only half the equation. There was another equally powerful technique called Zanshin, permanent awareness. While Mushin was about emptying the mind during action, Zanshin was about maintaining full attention to the environment, even after completing the movement. A samurai would enter Mushin during the strike, reacting without conscious thought, but immediately afterward, he would enter Zanshin, completely alert to any additional threat, any change on the battlefield, any suspicious movement. The difference between an average samurai and a master was precisely this instantaneous transition between the two states. Empty mind during action, alert mind during observation. Successful entrepreneurs and executives do exactly that today. During an important negotiation, they flow naturally through the conversation without second-guessing every word. That's Mushin in action. But when the meeting ends, they immediately analyze every detail of what happened, every reaction, every nuance of body language. That's Zanshin applied to business. Samurai trained Zanshin through active meditation, where they sat with their eyes open, perceiving absolutely everything around them. The rustling of a leaf, a change in light, the distant sound of footsteps. The goal was to process multiple pieces of information simultaneously, without fixating on anyone. Neurologists call this distributed attention, and studies show that it increases gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex. Now comes the part that connects all of this to your life. To develop Mushin, you need to identify a specific skill you want to master. It could be presentations, writing, programming, anything. The secret lies in practicing with total attention until it becomes automatic. The samurai had a principle called Ichigo Ichie, one moment, one opportunity. Each repetition was treated as the only chance to do it perfectly. It wasn't about doing 10,000 repetitions. It was about doing one perfect repetition 10,000 times. That difference is brutal. When you practice something with total focus on every detail, your mind creates much stronger neural connections than mechanical repetition. That's why two musicians practice the same number of hours, but one becomes a virtuoso and the other remains mediocre. Have you ever experienced that state of blank mind where you executed something perfectly without thinking? Leave a comment describing your experience. But there is another aspect of samurai training that is even more relevant today: breath control. Samurai didn't just breathe, they used breathing as a tool for neural control. Before going into combat, they performed a specific sequence. Inhale through the nose counting to 4, Hold for 4. Exhale through the mouth for 6. Hold empty for 2. This pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body and mind. Modern research confirms exactly what samurai discovered empirically centuries ago. When you exhale for longer than you inhale, you activate the vagus nerve, which signals to the brain that it is safe to relax. This reduces cortisol, lowers heart rate, and increases mental clarity. Olympic athletes use variations of this technique before competitions. Special forces soldiers are trained in it to remain calm in combat. Executives use it before crucial presentations. The samurai took this further with a technique called Saika Tanden, center breathing. They focused all their attention on a 0.5 centimeters below the navel called hara. While breathing, they visualized energy accumulating at that point. There is a scientific explanation. When you focus your attention on a specific part of the body, you increase blood flow to that area and improve proprioceptive awareness. More importantly, you create an anchor point for your attention that prevents your mind from wandering or panicking. Perhaps the most surprising aspect is something called Makuso, warrior meditation. It wasn't peaceful meditation seeking spiritual enlightenment. It was meditation focused on preparing the mind for life or death. The samurai would sit, close their eyes, and visualize combat scenarios in extreme detail. They would see adversaries, feel the weight of the sword, hear the sounds of battle. Then they would mentally react to each situation, making decisions, executing movements, adjusting strategies, repeatedly with different scenarios and adversaries. What they did was train the brain through what we now call mental rehearsal. Neuroimaging shows that when you visualize an action in vivid detail, the same brain areas activate as if you were actually performing it. You literally create and strengthen neural pathways without physical movement. This is why elite athletes spend hours visualizing performances before competitions. Samurai also developed posture and presence techniques with profound psychological and physiological effects. Correct posture wasn't about appearance, but about biomechanical optimization and power projection. An erect spine, relaxed yet firm shoulders, a slightly tucked chin, and a fixed, penetrating gaze. This posture did several things simultaneously. It optimized breathing, aligned the center of gravity for maximum stability, and sent neurological signals of confidence. Studies in social psychology confirm body feedback, where physical posture directly affects mental and emotional state. When you adopt a power posture with an erect spine and open shoulders, your testosterone levels increase and cortisol decreases. You literally feel more confident and less stressed. There was also a practice called metsuke, where the eyes focused. Samurai didn't look directly at their opponent's sword or a specific limb. They maintained a diffuse gaze that captured movement throughout the body simultaneously. This is active peripheral vision. Research in visual neuroscience shows that when you use peripheral vision instead of focal vision, you process movements more quickly. Your brain detects changes and patterns more efficiently because you're not filtering information through conscious focus. Athletes in boxing, tennis, and martial arts use exactly this technique, and it works in non-physical situations. In a meeting or negotiation, maintaining broad visual awareness allows you to pick up micro-expressions and body language that people focused on one point would completely miss. Another technique with direct application today is the concept of ma, perfect timing. The samurai understood that victory came not from speed or strength, but from impeccable timing, knowing exactly when to act and when to wait. A master samurai sensed the exact moment when the opponent was vulnerable, that microsecond when the defense was open. This concept is fundamental in modern business and communication. Great negotiators know that the timing of a proposal is as important as its content. Presenting an idea at the wrong time results in rejection. The same idea at the right time is accepted immediately. Comedians master timing, knowing when to pause before the joke, when to speed up or slow down the pace. One principle that guided all samurai training was Kaizen, continuous improvement. But it wasn't improvement as we superficially understand it. It was a commitment to improving 1% each day in every aspect of life. The samurai didn't seek immediate perfection. They sought constant incremental progress. If a strike was 95% correct, they would work on that 5% until they reached 96. Then they would work towards 97. This process never ended. because there was always room for refinement. If you improve 1% a day in a year, you will be 37 times better. It's not linear growth, it's exponential. Finally, there is the most powerful and least understood technique. Fudoshin, the still mind. It doesn't mean a still or emotionless mind, it means a mind that is not disturbed. Say a mind that can feel anger, fear, excitement, but is not controlled by these emotions. It's like a mountain covered by storms, but remaining firm at its base. Samurai trained Fudoshin through deliberate exposure to situations that provoked strong emotions, then practiced maintaining mental clarity despite the emotional storm. This is profoundly relevant in the modern world, where we are bombarded by stimuli that try to provoke emotional reactions. Fudoshin is the ability to observe your emotions without being hijacked by them, to feel anger but not act impulsively, to feel fear but not be paralyzed. Psychologists call this emotional regulation, and it is one of the most predictive skills for success in any area of life. If you enjoyed discovering these samurai techniques that still work today, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating content about ancient wisdom applied to the modern world.